Welcome back to News Talk. For as poorly as they've played, it's something of a miracle that the Washington Wizards are only 6 games back in the Southeast Division. But at 23 up, 28 down, the club is most certainly underperforming against preseason expectations. Can they turn things around in time for a postseason push? We'll ask Tom Threlkeld. He's editor-in-chief of the DC Pro Sports Report, and it's always great to have you here. Tom, good to see you.
Great to be here.
Thanks very much for skating your way in. What's going on with this team that out of the gate has not been playing at the level we thought they would, certainly not picking up from where they left off at the end of last spring when folks around here were pretty darn excited for, I believe, the 2nd year in a row. What's going on with this team now?
Okay, well, previously under Coach Randy Whitman, Washington had been known as a really good defensive team. A top 10 defensive team last season, a top 5 defensive team, and led by John Wall. And this year that's disappeared. Now, they changed last year. They were a team that was very frustrating offensively, underperformed offensively. And then in the playoffs, they went to a kind of small ball offense where it's all shooting threes and running and gunning and so forth, which is kind of the future of the NBA, at least that's the way it looks now. And it was very successful. If not for an injury to John Wall in the second round of the playoffs, they could have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals, where they almost certainly would have lost to Cleveland. Nevertheless, they would have gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals.
That would have been huge.
Yeah, they're a Final Four team. However, this year they've come back. They sort of went with that offense. They built their offense around it, and their offense has improved. Their defense has taken a huge tumble. They have gone from a top 5 defense to one of the worst defenses in basketball. They are last in the league in opponent shooting percentage, so they let other teams shoot very well. They are last in the league by quite a bit in opponent three-point percentage. They're getting killed from the three-point line. Basically, the stuff that they want to do to other teams is being done to them. And it is a team-wide failure on defense. It's driving Coach Randy Whitman bonkers. It's driving John Wall bonkers, even though at times he's partially responsible for the problems. He's not the biggest problem, but he's part of it. So those are big issues. A couple of other issues. One is they have faced the second toughest schedule in the NBA over the first 51 games of the season. That's part of it. And then the other part is they have lost more main games to injuries than any other team in the league. So those are their excuses. It doesn't change the fact that their defense is dreadful, and it is frequently, and this is obvious, a case of effort. They are not working hard. They are also one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. Again, when you see teams that are very bad at defense and very bad at rebounding, there is a focus and effort issue at play here, and I'm baffled as to why this is happening, and I think the Wizards are also baffled.
Randy Whitman hasn't phrased it as directly as you did, but in a lot of his post-game comments, that idea still comes through nonetheless.
Once or twice he has questioned their effort, and I think he would be much more blunt if he could be. Yeah, I think privately he's probably a lot more blunt than he's been publicly. But of course, eventually, if the team isn't putting forth a good enough effort, questions come back to the coach. Why aren't they? It's your job to get them going. A coach, and I think a lot of coaches would respond, these are professionals. It's my job to get them mentally and prepared and get the X's and O's right and understand who to play and what matchups to work. And these guys have got to come to the gym committed. That's a question, and if this keeps up, it'll eventually be a question for the owner, Ted Leonsis, to answer.
The Wizards currently sit at the 10th spot in the Eastern Conference, top 8, make the postseason, so they've got a couple rungs to climb with still some time to go. Can they get it in gear in time to at least back in as the 8th seed? Yeah, they can do it. Their schedule gets easier, and they are about the healthiest they've been all season right now. But they've got to start doing it. I mean, they have a real penchant for giving up leads. The lead they gave up to Milwaukee, and Charlotte, they've given up bad leads, like leading by 19 points in the first half and losing the game. I mean, that's a problem, a recurring problem for them. They've got to fix that. And they just got to start playing better on defense and doing much better on the defensive glass and the offensive glass, for that matter. Their deficiencies are really easy to see. Whether or not they can get over them is something else. John Wall is, night after night, one of the best players in the world. He needs more help. It would really help if Bradley Beal would stay healthy, because when he plays very well. They need more. There's got to be more from a big man than Marcin Gortat. He's the only big man who's really contributing. And Otto Porter, he's either got to get it going, or perhaps they should move him to the 4, not play him at the 3, where I don't think he's playing well, or go to more 3-guard rotations.
I've noticed that they play pretty well with Wall and Beal when he's healthy, and Ramon Sessions, the backup point guard. All three of them at the same time. They might go to that. They need to shake things up a bit.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I've heard the number 6. Already a half a dozen coaches in the NBA have lost their jobs this year as mid-season sackings. As we get to the All-Star break, is there any indication? It's hard to know, of course, when inside the mind of Ted Leonsis, and I don't say that about him, just in general. Do we know whether there will be some thinking about making a change at the All-Star break?
I don't think there'll be. No, I mean the All-Star game is over, and I don't think that they'll be making any moves. Barring a collapse, I don't see them making a move during the season. Whitman has.
That's right. All that I missed the whole All-Star thing with the.
Well, John Wall played very well in the All-Star game, but Whitman has some credibility built up from 2 relatively successful seasons he's played, and he took them when they were really at the bottom, and he turned them around into a very respectable team. So he's got that kind of credibility. But Ted Leonsis has demonstrated he will fire people, and the fact is, the Wizards are all in for this next offseason. Everything they've been doing has been trying to get Kevin Durant here, and right now they're not making a very good case to Kevin Durant that this is where they should be. And if Ted Leonsis decides the best thing to do is to go in a different direction, I wouldn't be surprised. The trade deadline is on Thursday. I don't expect the Wizards to make a big move. They might go after someone like Ryan Anderson that John Wall would like. But the fact is, they don't want to alter the team's salary structure because they've been planning for years to get way under the cap for this offseason to go get either Durant or someone as close to him as they can get.
Fortunately, and perhaps surprisingly, the other prime tenant at Verizon continues to play lights-out hockey. A disappointing loss the other day against Dallas, but the Washington Capitals are the cream of the crop. They are numerically the best team in the NHL.
Yeah, even after losing to Dallas, they're still 5 points better than Dallas. Where Dallas and I think the Blackhawks are the best teams in the conference. And I think they're 12 points up on anyone in the Eastern Conference. So that's pretty good. That's a pretty good start. They're the fastest team in history to 40 wins. They're playing very, very well. Now they have a game tonight. And there's going to be some interesting things happening because Brooks Orpik could come back. And he's missed about 40 games with a serious injury. But he would be a big return for them. He would really help them on defense, obviously. He was a key acquisition. And Jay Beagle is getting close to coming back. Now, they kind of have a surplus. When he comes back, they'll really have a surplus of centers and forwards. It isn't clear what they'll do. It isn't really clear what they'll do on defense either. If Orpik comes back tonight against the Kings, what's going to happen, who might be moved, to be a healthy scratch, someone like Taylor Chorney or something like that. But what we've seen this year is really some guys stepping up and playing very well, guys like Dmitry Orlov, in Orpik's absence. And it'll be really fun tonight. Justin Williams will get to go up against the Kings, his old team. He is one of the great postseason Game 7 guys in history. They love him in Los Angeles forever. He won part of 2 Stanley Cup championships there because of him. And Williams has been so good this year with the 2 younger players, Andrei Burakovsky and Evgeny Kuznetsov. So it's going to be very interesting. I would expect Washington to keep on keeping on. There's really no reason why they shouldn't keep winning. They're hugely talented and playing very well. And the trade deadline in the NHL is on the 29th. Because they're playing so well, GMs are very reluctant to break up a team that's playing like this. I wouldn't look for anything more than perhaps looking for someone like Mike Weber of Buffalo, a small move, someone who's inexpensive because they really don't have a lot of money under the cap, and they really only want a rental. They don't want anyone long term.
What sort of impact are the Capitals making around the league? Because everyone by now has taken notice of how the additional parts, the chemistry, all of it are coming together in a pretty spectacular way.
Yeah, well, people are impressed as well. They should be by what the Caps have done, and I think it's boosted Barry Trotz's reputation. He was brought here to kind of, not fix Ovechkin because he didn't need to be fixed, but figure out a way to get him more, easily integrated into the rest of the team. That's worked. Ovechkin is playing lights out, but he's playing, as part of the team. The team is thriving around him. They're a great they're a great watch. And I should say, even though, you know, they're not the sort of crazy scoring team that they were a few years ago when they won the President's Cup and then went out in the first round of the playoffs, they're a much more balanced team. They're fun to watch, even if they're not scoring 7 goals a night. They're fun to watch because they can win almost any way. Teams that can win almost any way are able to overcome sort of slumps at goaltending or in scoring, and that makes them a very strong team right now and going forward.
Talking with Tom Threlkeld, he's our buddy here, our sports go-to editor-in-chief of the DC Pro Sports Report. A break, back with more News Talk right after this.